Yes, sir. So now,
Yeah, it says recording is in progress.
Should I start?
yes, please.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
Okay, bhais and dadas for Ramakrishna Mission, a very good afternoon. Today we are doing the 46th series in the series of Addas from RKM, I believe. And we have with us Shubho Bhattacharjee. I've been given the honors of moderating today's Adda. If it's a Adda, first of all, I don't know what to moderate, but anyway, at least let me start with the introduction of Shubho Shekhar Bhattacharjee. Shubho was with us in the sense we passed out in 1989. So we are in that period where more or less everybody of us either 50 साल हो गए या होने वाले हैं. We have been celebrating our 50 years 2022 or 23. So from that period we are. And after that, Shubho and me, we did graduation. Post that, he did his MBA and he started his, if you say, professional career. So it was with management teaching. So he taught management and he did many of workshops. And I remember he, at that time, he was taking workshops for the VPs and the high levels of the corporate world. He had even been to Bangladesh once to take a workshop on the ITC or British tobacco over there.
British American tobacco, yeah.
American tobacco, if I remember correctly, yes. So those are the days from Delhi. After that, I don't know, we will ask him today what clicked and he moved from management to film. So he founded this company, Planman Motion Pictures, and from there he started his film career or started his film line. And when he started the film line from Delhi and then he moved over to Bombay, how many, 20 years now, I believe?
Yeah, 20 years.
And all those years, he has been making movies from Bombay. He has also, in Meghalaya, they started institute that was in conjunction with the Meghalaya government. They were, the students were mostly the tribal people from Shillong and Tura, and the name was Creative.
Yeah, Center of Excellence in Indian Music.
Yes, in Indian and Western music. They did a wonderful job there. I had been there also in when they launched that company, and we all know that Shubho has been doing wonderful work in movies, and he has hobnobbed with all the great stars, and probably 10 or 11 movies he has already done with stars like Amitabh Bachchan, and he has taken his movies to internationally to several film festivals, including the Cannes Film Festival. And recently, he is also doing another film where right now it is in post-production. That is his, I think the story and the script is written by him only. Yeah, this is this. So I believe I will leave it to Shubho with the first question. How we started from, I mean, after he passed out his management, MBA, he did completed a MBA. He started his management teaching profession and how he shifted from there to the film line.
All right. Thank you, Devashish. That was rather a detailed introduction. Thank you very much. Devashish and I, we have spent a lot of time, interesting times, doing our graduation, and ever since. And remember, we had once planned to go to the Cannes Film Festival together, and something did not work out around then, and we could not do it together.
Yeah, I know, a very sad memory of that even.
We'll do it soon. We'll do it soon. So it was just, I would say, providence. So what had happened was I was always inclined towards anything that had to do with creative expression. And I was trying to find some expression in my corporate learning programs also with various organizations. But I was really, really looking forward to something where I can create something. I was pretty inclined always all through in Vidyapit days also, in theater, in music and all of that. And I was really looking forward to it. And it's almost like as if the universe conspired and made it happen for me. I have to say that I was lucky actually. So what had happened was at a consulting meeting, there was this advertising agency that I was dealing with. And the owner of the agency had come for a meeting and we were to pitch something to a corporate organization. And he was accompanied by a gentleman who did not enter my room, and he was sitting outside at our lounge. And I generally told him that, why are you getting him to sit there? Get him in, we can have a coffee together. He's a friend. And he said, yeah. He's Anjan Das. He's a friend of mine and he's a filmmaker. So I got very excited. I said, please call him in. So unko andar bulaya. And then he was carrying a script with him. Before that, I had never seen a film script before in my life. And that was quite some time back. I'm talking about 2002. Some of you were in the school then, I believe. And so I said, what is this that you are carrying? He said, it's a film script. So I said, I've never really read a film script before. Can I read it? So he said, you want me to read it out to you if you have time after your meeting is over? It will take a couple of hours. And so I said, then let's wait. Evening when work is done, if you don't mind, we can do some reading and let me hear how a film script really reads like and all of that. So work got over and he sat down and he narrated the entire script and I was in love with it. It was a Bengali film. It was based on, adapted actually from Joy Goswami's. Joy Goswami is a very famous poet from Bengal. And this was his first novel. And it was called Shajbati Rupkathara. We had given it the title of Strokes and Silhouettes in English. So then I said, fabulous. It reads so beautiful. It's such a lovely story and it's very artistic and all of that. And what does it take to make this film? So he told me the budget of the film. So I went to the management and we discussed and we said that how about doing something like this? I mean, it's a very interesting film and we were in any case in discussions to do some creative expression projects and all of that. So I had not done any film before and we had no experience whatsoever in filmmaking. But then I said, is it okay for you if we come on board and produce the movie for you? He was obviously damn excited. So he said, of course, who doesn't want a producer? So would you want to come on board? I said, we do not have experience at all, but we would give in our best and we'll try and make it happen. So that's how the first film really happened and made it. And then the rest was history and pitched it internationally. I remember I reached out to Columbia TriStar at that point in time, Sony Pictures. Sony had taken over Columbia by then. And pitched it to them and said they had not done a Bengali film ever before. So I reached out to them with a proper pitch in terms of how the movie is and all of that and came to Bombay. Those days, films were not made in digital medium. So they were made on celluloid, right? Jo prints jo pehle dikhte the, roll hote the bade bade. So I actually personally carried a trunk with me, loaded with the print, came to Bombay and did the screening. Booked a theater and we did a screening, and the managing director at that point in time of Sony Pictures, Columbia TriStar. So he loved it. He said, we are in and we would love to distribute a project and do all of that. So that's how it really started. And after that, moved to Bombay and then kept doing one film after the other. So that's how it happened. So I would say I turned out to be lucky. That's how it started.
Yeah, very lucky in fact. But Shubho, tell me something. how did you gather your team at that time? Because this was something very new for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So again, I would have to say I was lucky. When you look out for people, and it so happened that the right kind of people kept coming into some of these initial people who were a part of the team were very young boys and girls, like very, very young. They were in their early 20s, and most of them did not have any experience of filmmaking, but we had all the enthusiasm. So, and that's a primary requirement in filmmaking. So very enthusiastic bunch of people, and we recruited them. And we just took, they were mostly management students. Some of them were my students also. I had done lectures for them in various management subjects. So I kind of reached out to them and we kind of formed a team together. And that's how we moved to Bombay with a very, very young bunch of people who had dreams in their eyes, no experience whatsoever. And then, like I said, luck favored, and one after the other, we kept meeting very good directors. I've been very fortunate. So, what had happened? So when you are a kid, you grow up looking at, film stars, and you keep wondering. And because I was inclined, I would wonder, maza aata if one could get an opportunity to work with Mr. Bachchan and Rishi Kapoor and Mithunda and Nasiruddin Shah and all of that. Us list mein na, us waqt, when we were growing up, Shah Rukh Khan was not as in prominence. And therefore, I did not dream of Shah Rukh Khan then, because if I had dreamt, probably this would have also happened by now. So, but I was lucky enough to have had the opportunity to work with Mr. Bachchan, Rishi Kapoor, Nasir Saab, all of them. Made films with each one of them. Log judte gaye. The right kind of people kept coming in, and we kept doing films one after the other, and that's how it happened.
Shubho, tell me, as a newcomer for the first film, I'm asking Shajwati Rupkota, was it easy or was it very difficult, or how did you, how's your experience in finishing the movie and having it released finally? Just a second, can I request everyone to please come on the screen? It's supposed to be Adda after all.
Good one.
Thank you. The other guys, please also. Anyway, so was it easy or difficult as a newcomer?
So I'll tell you what. So, for example, I can give you some anecdotes that of how we actually did. So, you know what, the budgets were limited. Of course, it was a Bengali art house film. So you can imagine how difficult it must have been to kind of push it out in the market, do a theatrical release, take it out internationally, and all of that. But what had happened was, so I remember there was a colleague of mine who was earlier my student, and then he had joined. Very, very nice guy, Viraj Kalra. So he's now a very successful corporate trainer in Delhi. Does a lot of programs for various organizations around the world, actually. So he came on board, and then every night at 3:30 we would leave for Sialda station. Because we were marketing the film in Kolkata. We'd go to Sialda station, get all the newspaper vendors, print out our small little ads, because we didn't have as much budget to, print out ads on newspapers and all of that. And we used to do inserts ourselves in the newspapers. We went around town sticking posters on walls and all of that. So we did all of that initial years. That was the beginning of our film career, actually. So did all of that, and it turned out to be a fantastic release. A very interesting anecdote I would like to share, maybe if it is of interest to you guys. So then we pitched it very aggressively, and there's a very interesting film festival that happens in Rotterdam in the Netherlands. It's a beautiful city. It was kind of completely flattened after the Second World War and all of that. And then they rebuilt the city beautifully. So there's a very interesting film festival that happens there. Some of the finest films from around the world are screened there, and our film got selected there. I went there. And when I reached there, so again, zero experience, just enthusiasm, reached there. And I realized, oh my God, I have to compete against these big Hollywood biggies and big European films and all of that. And we did not have budgets as much, and what to do. So I just did not even know, those were not the days of the internet and all of that. So one did not know what was the weather like then, around then. I knew it was going to be cold, but wasn't very sure of how cold it would be. When I reached there, it was snowing heavily. And I carried dhoti Punjabi, right? So what I did was, I thought the best way to attract probably is to give a sort of Indian exotic sort of feel to the film. So the day I was screening was there at the theater, and I would see that every other theater. So parallelly, a lot of theaters are there, and a lot of various films would get screened in all these theaters, and you have to invite your audience inside. So these are not paid tickets. These are by invitation, and people have to find your film exciting enough to enter your theater. And these are film critics, film enthusiasts, writers, and filmmakers from around the world who are there at the festival. What I did was that I wore dhoti Punjabi in that snowing, cold weather, right? My legs were freezing, and I stood outside the theater wearing a dhoti Punjabi like that. Everyone found that visual very exciting. You know, they thought, "Achha, kuch to hoga." There's some Indian exotic art that is getting screened there. And believe me, what happened was that immediately after, the entire theater got packed. Right, so we had a full house show there, and after that the word spreads, and we had, I think, 3 shows during the festival, and the shows got packed. So if you ask me, it was difficult, but what happens, you know, when you are young, you are uninhibited, you don't really care about what people will think about you and all of that. You don't really think twice before taking a leap into something which looks very, very difficult and impossible, probably. Did not have any film background or any idea or any knowledge, any awareness about how to do things, except that we knew we had to do it. Right. So I think the lack of inhibition during those years was the key factor that helped, you know, tide over all the difficulties that were there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this trait in Shubho was already there during our days in Deoghar. He was in all the dramas that we did. He was the platoon commander. Samrat is there. I think Samrat, I think, will vouch for this.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, Shamrat, where are you?
Oh, I'm actually in Missouri, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Lovely weather. The weather is
Yeah,
good
yeah.
in Mumbai also, by the way. Very nice these days. For
Okay.
the rains, that is.
Okay.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, sorry.
So Shubho, moving from your first movie, I think you did that was, I think, a clappy, and the next one that you did was very well taken by the audience and even gave a national award by the name Doshar.
Hmm.
Would you like to tell everyone about this movie?
Yeah, so, you know,
Also a Bengali movie.
yeah, talking about Doshar, then I would like to also talk about first, actually, the director here, Ritu Parno Ghosh.
Yes.
Rituda, by far, of all the people that I've met in my life, if I have to, he's no more, unfortunately. I've lost a friend in him. He was a very close friend of mine and a mentor. What a lovely personality. Except that he was mad eccentric. That was what also defined who he was. But one of the sharpest minds I've come across, extremely well read, right? Very sharp mind, and obviously a very good writer. 13 national awards. So you can imagine that there must be something in him that made him achieve all of that. And so we went to him and we did our first film, which was a Bengali film in black and white. It's a beautiful film. So that film got selected in various festivals around the world and got selected in Cannes also. So we went there and had a lovely time promoting the movie around the world. So we did 3 films with Rituda. Doshar was one of them. It was black and white, and what difficulties. So again, out of enthusiasm, we did that film in black and white, and then realized that how difficult it is to actually market a black and white film, because a lot of television channels those days were thought that there was a technical error, because, you know, when we send the screeners to them, they thought it was a technical error. It was supposed to be color, but why is it in black and white? So it was quite tough to kind of take it around the world and do all of that, but it was received really well. And also then came in touch with Rituda, and then we did 3 films together. We did Doshor, we did The Last Lear. Doshor had Konkona and Prasenjit Chatterjee. You have to watch their performances. Uh, it's a splendid film actually, and what performances! They got a bunch of awards from around the world because of their performance. And then we did The Last Lear with Mr. Bachchan. Amitji was there. Amitji, Preeti Zinta, Arjun Rampal, Shefali Shah, Prasenjit Chatterjee, Jishu Sen Gupta. They were all there in that movie, and we made the film in English. So we took up yet another sort of challenge to make a film with, you have Mr. Bachchan and then you do a film in English. So we've only been trying to do some, things which don't look apparently easy, but it was fun. Also, that film was received really well around the world. We did a grand premiere at the Toronto Film Festival. What lovely reception there and what lovely attendance. And I really have to mention this because, often what happens, some of our Indian films, the way they are appreciated there, out of India. So they had, it was the Toronto Philharmonic Orchestra Theatres. It was a massive theatre. And we had a grand gala, actually, the premiere there. So all of our stars and all of us were in attendance. The film got over, and believe you me, and this is not something that we get to see often here. When the film got over, there was a spotlight from somewhere, and the spotlight was on of us. We were standing with the cast and crew, all of us together. And the standing ovation just wouldn't get over, right? It was going on and on and on and on, and we didn't really know what do. We bow down, we stand, keep standing there because they would not stop clapping. Right, that is how I've always felt. And then this film went to Rome, we went to London Film Festival, around the world actually, Abu Dhabi, Melbourne, Washington, all of these places. What reception, man! How well they receive a work of art. Really, really overwhelmed with how things happen there. Yeah, so and then did another film with Rituda, which was unfortunately it has not been released as yet. So that remains Rituda's last film, and we have it. Got into some technical issues with various distributors, producers, this, that, and the other. The filmmaking is a complicated job. The glamour is always on screen. Behind the screen, there's a lot of toil and a lot of difficulty that's always is there.
Yeah, Shubho, but that particular movie, if I remember, it was Sunglass, right? It's Sunglass.
Yeah, Sunglass.
That got screened in Calcutta Film Festival. How many years back? Where all those Shah Rukh Khan, Amitabh Bachchan, everybody is present in well. Incidentally, somehow I was also there in Kolkata, and I could watch that movie in Netaji Indoor Stadium, right?
Yes. So interesting how it happened, So we shot the movie, everything was done, and then Rituda passed away, right? And we were in shock, and the film was not over because we were yet to finish the edit, and the entire post-production remained. And we were really saddened, and we didn't know what to do with it. The film was just shot. And one day I get a call from Calcutta, and a gentleman called me and said that we have received a request from Mamatadi's office that she wants to screen the film at the Calcutta Film Festival at the Netaji Indoor Stadium, and which will be attended by everyone. So you have 1 month time, and you have to finish the film and give it to us. It was just like that. It came to us just like that. And I said, but in 1 month, how do you finish the post-production? It takes about 4 to 5 months minimum to finish a film. So they said, we have 1 month. Please do and make it happen because Mamata Didi has requested. So obviously we started putting our heads together and finished this film. And then I remember we took a flight. The hard disk was with me. By then the digital medium had come in already. So the hard disk, I was carrying the hard disk, the film to Calcutta that evening. And I took an afternoon flight for the screening to happen in Calcutta that evening. And the flight got delayed. When I landed, the plane just started taxiing and going to the parking bay. And one of the flight attendants came to me and said that there's someone waiting at the tarmac. You get down and there's a car waiting for you. You have to just get into the car. So it was not me who was the VIP, it was the hard disk that I was carrying. So, and immediately got into the car and it zoomed into the Netaji Indoor Stadium and we did the screening there. And overwhelming experience, obviously, when you have such lovely people in attendance and watching your film on a giant screen like that. So really have to say that I've been very, very lucky to have had all these opportunities to be able to do all of that. So things just happen. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, we, the outsiders, actually look only for the glamour part of a film. We feel that it's very glamorous. But actually, when it happens, the shoot, it's pretty tedious. I have been to one of, I think more than that, 3 or
You've
4.
been to 2, 3 of our shoots. You've seen some
I've
shoots.
seen that. So for a 1 minute take, probably they take sometime whole day. So it's pretty tedious and fast years. At a point, probably people like me, who is not a creative person, will get bored out of it.
Yeah, shootings are very boring.
Yeah, but it's a huge team. I think for each of the shots, they have around 200 or 300 people climbing around, all doing their job. For the lights, there would be at least 50 people. Sometimes I feel that it's a wastage of money probably from the producer. But then he explained to me that each one of the job is sorted and each one of them is required. I don't know how they justify that. So this is how they do it.
Have you noticed something, Rashiz, when you were there at the shoot? So this is something that people often do not have this notion about film industry, and the notion that usually gets out is that it's a lot of fun, chaotic, glamour sort of space. But for example, at a set, if you have about 150 people working on a certain day, 150, 200 people working at a certain day, you would notice that no one needs to be told what to do.
That's correct.
Everyone has been assigned their exact responsibilities, and they would carry on with that without one single reminder. And that would mean we could be shooting, for example, 45 days at a stretch with 1 or 2 breaks in between. Those 45 days, there is every possibility that one might have to wake up at 3:30 in the morning every day, right? And no one needs to be told to wake up. They know when to wake up to be able to reach on the set, at the set, on time, every day without failing. It's an outstanding experience. It's one of those units, if one has to see the passionate involvement that people have at work, a film set is a beautiful example of how things happen there. What happens is that in the media, often it gets to be portrayed as a bunch of actors who have their tantrums, do these things, this, that, and the other. And this is what gets portrayed. But the fact is that these 150, 200 odd people, 250 people, depending on the kind of shoot you have on a particular day, all these people are toiling hard every day without being told to do so, and they would do it passionately, each one of them. Right, that's a beautiful experience. The other day, I was chatting with one of our greatest actors, actually. So, Lagan, while they were shooting, very interesting anecdote, huh? Lagan, while they were shooting, so they had a huge crew, right? Obviously, look at the size of the film that we are talking about. Every morning, they would get together and they would travel in a bus to go to the location. Each one of them, all the actors, including Mr. Khan, everyone else, would sit together in that bus. The first day, someone played the Gayatri mantra on the bus speaker, right? And it sounded so good. And Ami kind of felt that, wow, what a lovely, experience it is. It's a beautiful vibe. The sun is just rising. We're all traveling towards work. So for the next, I think for 2.5 months, they shot. Every day, they would get into the bus early morning, put on the Gayatri mantra, and reach on set and start working. Each one of them, every day. So I think film people work very hard. It's just that it often doesn't get portrayed as much. Yeah.
Yeah, true. I've been privy to some these things, and probably they were briefed that I am coming as his friend. So once you reach the set, tea will be served, snacks will follow. it's like clockwork. 4 baje snacks hai na, somebody will be serving snacks, somebody will be serving tea, then there will be one person moving around with the water bottles. Kisi ko bolna nahi hai. There will be a lot of humbug. But when the director says, shant hona, that's a pin drop silence.
Yeah.
Since once that thing happened, still then I wondered, so many people moving around all together for the shot, probably 5 minutes take in an entire day.
Yeah.
Now tell me, Shubho, you have been traveling a lot also during those all those film festivals, taking all those films internationally with people like Amitabh Bachchan and Preeti Zinta and lots of other stars. Would you like to share some anecdotes that you probably have with them or probably remember now?
Yeah, like I said, luck has always been on my side, and I've had the opportunity to travel with all these very interesting people whom we have always seen on Bade Parde Pe, and then to be with them and and then they are just normal people actually. So, once they're on Bada Parda, they're a different personality, but otherwise they are people. They have bindi, roti, dahi. They're the same guys. So I remember we were shooting the last year, and every day one of our guys would go to Amit ji and ask, ki, "Sir, khana kya khana pasand karenge?" Bas thodi bindi roti aur thoda dahi de dena. So so when you meet the people in person, they are such lovely, interesting, friendly people. And I remember traveling with them together, London, Rome, I had the opportunity to watch films together and move around, do some press bit and all of that. So, it's a part of the job. We stay mostly behind the camera, and these are the guys who are there in the front. So they're the ones. The impression about them, therefore, is that these guys are larger than life personalities and all of that. And the reality is that they're just like one of us, But good fun traveling with all of them around the world. So Rome, I remember there was this one screening that happened at again a very large theater. The last year we were screening, and the film got over. That particular screening, the film was represented only by me. No one else could reach there, and because of various schedules and all of that, and I happened to represent the film there. Yashji was there. Mr. Yash Chopra then was there. He was there, sitting the front row audience. And when the film got over, like they always do, there's a spotlight, and I was there, and suddenly the spotlight is on me, and I'm kind of getting a little unnerved. And an Italian actress comes running towards me, and everyone is standing, and there's ovation happening, comes running towards me, hugs me tight, and starts howling. She's crying.
Which movie was that?
The last year, right? And so I started, without even knowing why she is howling, why she is crying, I'm consoling her, everything is all right, what really happened, because I'm really worried, because the way she is howling and all of that, and she held me tight, and she's crying, and she's crying, and she's crying. And then finally, and while she's crying, imagine, look at the scene, while she's crying, everyone around in the theater standing and clapping, right? That is going on. And then she says, Mr. Bachchan is not there today, but, I cannot tell you how much he has touched me as an artist. And I'm really, really overwhelmed. And, please take my message to him. I would like to speak in person and express my gratitude for doing a performance like that and all of that. Right. So, so that's when you feel, you've put in like 1.5, 2 years of hard work, every day toiling hard to make these things happen. And then when the product gets received like that, it's almost like, ho gaya na, kaam. Yeah, so.
What's those movies, Shubho? You did some very good Hindi movies, right? And outright commercial movies. I remember Mithya, and 24, And this Do Duni Char, which was immensely successful, I believe, and that brought Rishi Kapoor and Neetu Singh back as a couple.
Get them together. Yeah.
I watched all those things and they were pretty good. Would you want to say something about this, especially this one, this Do Duni Char?
Char actually took a lot of time for me to put it together because Habib Faisal, the director, Habib and I, we were talking for years actually. That we would like to do a film together. Habib was then working with Yashraj Studios. He was a writer. He had written Salam Namaste, the film with Saif Ali Khan and Preeti Zinta. And, we would meet almost every week and we would keep talking. And it went on for about a few years. We were trying to identify one story that we would be able to do together and we would be both excited to do it. And then came, one day, I remember I was sitting in office and Habib and I were chatting, generally discussing about an idea and all of that. And I told him, Habib, how about a film where, a young boy goes to his dad and says that, Papa yaar, देखो ना लोग अपने बच्चों के लिए क्या-क्या नहीं करते हैं, आपने हमारे लिए क्या ही किया है, right? And he said, Shubho, I have something around on those lines. Would you like to read? I'll give you a 2-pager. So I think the same day or the very next day, he sent me some 4-5 pages to read. I read that and I said, wow, I mean, this is a very interesting story. Why don't we develop it into a script? So then we started working on it, developed it. We went to Rishi Kapoor. We wanted to cast him. He was a very, very interesting man. And Kapoor with all the flamboyance and all of that, right? So we reached there and he was like, you sure you want to cast me as the lead role? I said, yes. You sure you want to cast as a lead role? I said, yes, sir. We're very sure we want to cast you as a lead role for this one. So he heard the narration. He got very thrilled. He was done. He said, I'm doing it. Right. And then we were wanting to cast Mrs. Duggal. So he was Mr. Duggal and we want to cast Mrs. Duggal. So we were looking for an interesting option. And we told him, sir, maza aa jata if Neetu ma'am could be a part of this one because it would be really nice if she could play she won't play. I said, sir, baat to karte hai na. No, she won't play. And he was a kind who would admonish you. He would treat you like that. Nahi, mana kiya na, nahi karenge. Sir, baat to karte hai na. Nahi, mana kar degi na. Wo khud mana kar degi, main mana kar raha hu. Nahi hoga. And we were like leeches. We would not give up. And he was also not willing to even get us an interview with her. Right. So finally, on the day of Diwali, I remember, he called and he said, listen, you have 1 hour. You can come and meet, do your narration. I'm telling you, she will say no. Right. But you can come for a narration because you are so insistent. Let it happen. Went there. Did the narration. She heard the story. She says, who says I'm not doing it? Of course I'm doing it. I would love to do a role like this. And that's how the casting happened, actually. And it was on the day of Diwali that she said yes. And after that, it was good fun. And we sold it to, this was also Disney's first acquisition, actually. So Disney acquired this movie. And it was very interesting. After that, the journey was really nice.
Would you care to share what you are doing now?
So we just finished shooting a film, a wedding story. It's titled For Now. It's an ominous sort of dark space love story. We've just finished shooting. We've finished shooting sometime in February. Since then, we've been doing post-production. Hopefully, this month, the film will be ready. We're just in the final stages of post-production right now. So we will be ready and we'll start maybe if things go right, then maybe this end of this year or early next year, we'll release the movie in theaters. So that's the plan for now. And then we have another movie that is getting into pre-production right now. Hopefully we'll end of the year or early next year, we'll start shooting that film. So that's what is happening right now. Of course, there are other films that are getting scripted right now. We are writing. So that's what we keep doing. We keep developing subjects. We keep developing ideas. Keep writing those.
Tell me, I think, Shubho, in all those years, you have seen the single theaters and the multiplex and now the OTT platform. So what's your take on this as a movie producer or somebody who is uh, related to movie production? How do you take this?
I'll tell you what. So everyone, I'm sure, has his or her own point of view on this. As a filmmaker, I am not at all happy seeing films getting directly on OTT platforms. It's a beautiful platform, though, because it reaches immediately worldwide. People get to sample it and all of that. It's easy access. All that is there. But you work hard really to make that film for a big screen experience. You want your film to get into a big screen theater. Mein log jaye, family bhar ke jaye, popcorn kharide, sit together, watch the movie, CTVT bajaye. That's what your idea of movies are. Movies have to be larger than life in terms of your experience of the movie. If it gets directly to a television screen, somehow I don't feel very excited about this idea. So, no, but that's a very personal take. But having said that, I would say that I think the avenues of your revenues on films have increased because of the various technological advancements that have happened. Earlier, it would always be just the theaters, then came television, so theater and television. Now you have theater, television, and OTT platforms also. So I think it's definitely a boon for filmmakers because you have an added lovely platform to sort of showcase your work. But if you ask me personally, I would any day say that films have to be for theaters. You with friends, family, whoever, you go to a theater, watch a movie. That's what a movie experience is all about, I guess.
Tell me something. I was discussing a while back about this release of movie. At that time, he told me that the movie production or the release of movie are very, guarded by these family-owned theater groups, like what I'm getting into. So, is it now easy for the small movie producers to have their movie released on these multiplexes and OTT platform are there?
See, I would say, every creative industry in particular, and not just filmmaking, if you get into music as well, if you see this scenario in music or art or anything that where your product cannot be actually objectively evaluated, right? Every other space where product can be actually objectively evaluated, there are specifications, you meet those specifications and you have a product as per quality control specifications, right? When you have a creative product, which is probably a song or a film or a piece of art or a dance or whatever it is, how do you evaluate? How do you judge that? There's no basis for judging that. So what has happened over the years, therefore, certain families and some people and some groups have really kind of exerted their influence over the industry, and therefore it for someone who does not belong to this industry, for example, someone who completely comes from as an outsider, right, making space for oneself gets a little tough for sure, right? On top of that, there are various kinds of people. So for someone who, for example, I could take my personal case in this in this context. I'm not someone who does a lot of socializing or going out, partying, this, that, and the other. I am not to be seen. I refrain from all these. So when you are not out there doing all of these, then making your foothold in this industry is very, very tough, I would say, because a large part of the industry is controlled by a handful of people, actually, and that's a reality. But at the same time, what also happens, because of the various avenues that have opened up for you to be able to screen your movie, for example, including film festivals. So why did we initially take all those movies to the film festivals was also to create an attention, right? So when you use these avenues and, you reach out and you make best use of these avenues, then you can somewhat, in some cases, bypass. And if your product stands out and if you receive enough appreciation or whatever attention for your product, then in any case, then you create your own traction. Then you don't really have to depend on a lot of people. Having said that, it's not that they alienate you completely. I have had the good fortune to be able to even collaborate with them, right? So it's not like they don't let you enter into this sort of fraternity. They do. You have to prove yourself. If you manage to do something really well, then they will welcome you in the fraternity, and then you become a part of them, right? So
Tell me a thing, Shubho. Oh, sorry, we will finish
no,
up.
no, please go ahead. Yeah.
We have also been hearing about the fun part, the happy part, but I am sure that there have been times when you also probably struggled a bit. Or
Oh,
like
yes.
to
A lot. There was a
share that
time,
as well.
yeah. So, struggled a lot actually. There've been very good times and very bad times also, where one had to. I lost every single penny that I had, and there was nothing left, like zero. Right? There was one film that we started with. Very unfortunate, we lost that. It was a film with Rishiji. In fact, we started shooting. We shot 50% of the film and could not complete it. Right, and all monies went into that, and it just disappeared. Right. So what happens is that, and if you see in this industry, who am I? The biggest of people. You talk about Raj Kapoorji. You talk about Mr. Bachchan. They've had such terrible times where they had lost all their monies and everything. And I remember Rishiji had consoled me when this had happened. He said, my father, who was my father? Raj Kapoor, yeah. If he had gone through, after being Raj Kapoor, he went through, what he went through, and come to the sort of brink of, bankruptcy almost, right? If it could have happened to him, it can happen to anyone. So don't get disheartened. This is the industry. This is how it is. For anyone who stays there and sticks to it, things just work out. So, and I think he was right. You just have to stick. And
The second movie with Rishi Kapoor, right?
yeah, that was the second film with him.
It was
So
the political satire, if I remember correctly.
that was also when the
Just
other
before the election.
sorry.
Just before that election.
Yeah. That was also the other project that you were mentioning, the music project that we did with the government of Meghalaya. So thankfully, if that were not to happen around that time, and, I would have been in a bigger mess. So thankfully, we made a pitch to the government there and they kind of loved it. And then for 3 years, we did a very excellent program in music there with a very talented bunch of people, Khasi, Garo, Jaintia people in Meghalaya. We did a massive project, got in touch with about 5,000 odd kids, got the best of musicians from around the world to go to Shillong, to stay there with us. What an experience that was, Devashish. You've been there for the inauguration, so kind of seen it. So all the musicians, all of us, the legendary musicians, would all stay together. So you get up in the morning. Imagine you get up in the morning. One room, George Brooks is doing his rehearsal on the saxophone. Another room, Pandit Ajay Pohankar is doing some Pandit Ajay Pohankar. If you remember Pia Bavri, there was this one song that became very big. So he's then another room, Pandit Rono Majumdar is playing the flute. So that's the kind of vibe we spent for 3 years. That was like an artistic sort of.
By the way, I'll tell you here. I need to tell you, Shubho is blessed with very good. I mean, she is also an artist in her own standing. Sucheta Bhattacharya. She is a classical music guru. She actually he's taught me from naming his her shishyas here in this forum. So I'm not revealing those names, but take it from me that there are maybe many movie artists, the top artists, who are actually her shishya in a guru shishya ritual, like tying the band and putting a tilak during the Guru Purnimas, doing all those things and learning music from Sucheta. I know her as Bob, and actually Goddess Saraswati probably has a second home to her. She's so talented.
Oh, she's
And
extremely talented.
yes,
And
I
you
did
know,
that music thing with Bob and Shubho together, and we all the music pandits there.
so in fact, I have always been telling her from the very beginning that she probably, not because she's my wife, and we've been together. So it was a one-sided affair initially. When I was in 7th in Ramakrishna Mission, then that's when it started. And eventually, I was lucky. I got to marry her finally, and it's been 25 years of our marriage already now. And I think she's the finest classical music mentor in the country. I would not be, hesitating to say that at all. She's like brilliant. And which is also the reason that I also get to have some sort of, thing from her in terms of my understanding of whatever little of music or whatever that we do. Yeah.
Tell me a thing, Shubho. When we hear movies, cinemas, there are few words that come naturally to us. The first that we hear about is nepotism. How true it is? Actually, is there nepotism inside?
Yes, I just saw one question popping up from Shamrat. What's
Me
what
too.
plans for the future? Wherever future takes me, Shamrat, who knows? So I know just how to do a film. So I'll keep continuing to do films as long as I can. Let's see. So thing is, you know what? You plan, and there are so many movies that I had planned and not happened. Right? It's a very difficult space. So, you plan 3, 1 can happen and the other 2 won't happen. You may lose all your monies in one, you can make a little in some other. So that's how it is. Sorry, Devashi, you had asked a question on nepotism. See, the way you look at it, there's an actor and he or she has a son or a daughter.
डॉक्टर का बेटा डॉक्टर, इंजीनियर का बेटा इंजीनियर, सारा thing.
मतलब it's tell me, okay, so let's put it this way. Which other industry where if there is an opportunity people don't do it? Everywhere. Music, business houses, right? Everywhere. You tell me a space and everywhere it happens. It's just that often the attention is rather sharp on this industry, and which is why it gets to be spoken about as much. But also, if you see the number of people who come to Mumbai every day to kind of get into this industry, so in that sense it stays always in attention and limelight, and also for 10-20 other things which are very fascinating to read about and talk about. And I think nepotism is there in everything. Every place where there's work, where I can exert my influence to get my son or daughter in, people do it. And it's happened forever. Raja ka beta Raja hi banta hai, matlab it's a part of...
right? So moving forward, do you want to see your son also coming into this creative field?
Sorry?
So moving forward, would you also want to see your son also coming to this creative field?
So, I don't know. I mean,
No, deep inside, what do you want to?
He's extremely talented. definitely more talented than I am, but whatever he wants to do, it's these days. Do you think you can tell your son or daughter to do what you want them to do? They will. They're far more intelligent. They're better aware of the world. They will choose. They will do what they want to do, and they will do it well. They will do it better than we can do it. So who knows? In fact, one day I asked him, so what is it that you want to do? He said, I just want to have all the. Now, so this is an idealism sort of space right now that he is in. This is the age. And he's in 10th right now. So he says, I just want to have all the stray animals of the planet, whoever, whenever they're abandoned and all of that, I want to have a big farm where I'll take care of them. I said, noble idea, go ahead, do it. Raise your own, pitch your idea, do it, and it's absolutely fine. So who knows what he's going to do? It's up to him.
So Shubho, to all the people who is hearing this now and probably later on, what would you say? How safe is the movie business in perspective of as an investment? Is it safe to invest? किसी का पैसा हो तो movie में लगाएं? Would you encourage them?
I'll tell you what. So it depends on how you invest, right?
Mhm.
So if let's say, you just add a kotha jana badke. See, if you do it just like that, right? Oh, I want to hobnob with a few actors and therefore I don't mind spending a few crores here and there, then that's a different issue. Then you are not actually spending as an investment. You are spending just to be able to get some proximity with some interesting people. That's what it is. But if you look at them as projects, and to the extent possible, like I said, they cannot be really objectively evaluated to that extent compared to many other projects that we do. But there's still some bit of objectivity in terms of looking at it as an investment possibility or an opportunity. Also because of the kind of avenues that are turning up, also because of rights getting protected, also because IP rights getting more and more protected and monetization possibilities increasing, certainly it becomes a definitely reasonable investment opportunity. People are making investments. I also get to hear from a lot of investors that in the next 10 years, there's going to be a lot of investment happening in this industry. So after which, in any case, AI is going to take over. Filmmaking is going to be AI controlled very soon. I completely believe that. So we probably are the last filmmakers on this planet. After that, it's going to be all AI. I mean, Shamrat, can you imagine you and I'll ask you what's your plan for the weekend. You will say, okay, let's watch a movie. You will say, I want to watch a thriller. I'll say, I want to watch a romance. We'll input. Script will be written in in a flash, right? Film will be shot with deep fake. And the movie will be there on your television, your and my television screen on a weekend, and we'll watch it together. It's going to happen. You can't stop it from happening. So human interface filmmaking, probably we are the last filmmakers. The romance is going to go out very soon. It's going to evaporate.
Yeah, agree.
Shubho, some of us would also like to know about this. Actually, we'll be
There
curious.
was sorry, there were some other pops questions that had come up.
Joy wanted to ask something. Joy Ghosh, is the Me Too for real?
Me Too for real?
And casting coach, is it true?
It's a very individual thing. Yeah. I mean, I would imagine there would be as much of a casting couch in manufacturing industry as much it would be here as well, except that a factory setup does not make for interesting news in most cases, and which is why it does not get highlighted. You open your tabloids and there is a lot of news about an actor talking about how he or she faced some casting couch, and it becomes news and therefore it gets highlighted. It's just that. I mean, I think also because, like I said, the only thing is there is no objective evaluation of even talent, right? it's a very subjective perception of what your talent is. And therefore, someone would have to give you an opportunity to be able to perform. And therefore, some people might have the advantage of therefore choosing or taking calls for you and all of that. And therefore, if there is any opportunity that arises, there must be. And it must be there in every other field, every other place on this planet. So, yeah.
Hey, hi, Shubho. This is Sharad here.
Hi.
So,
Hi.
yes, 1986 batch. I guess I'm the oldest one here.
Oh, hello, Dada.
And I see and Aditya was a kid when I was there. I see him a grown-up man here, and then it's so wonderful. I mean, hearing from you. I mean, I really feel so proud, and more proud because our brothers have gone into fields. So see, I mean, one of the things which was constantly a sore factor for us when we were going was like either you become an engineer or you become a doctor.
Yeah,
And there was not there was so you had wonderful option either become a doctor or become an engineer. There
absolutely.
was nothing more than that. So it is so breath of fresh air. Last time around when I was in the centenary celebrations, and then some of you were there, and what I found and was even more elating for me to have that first-hand experience after so many years was so many of our juniors have become entrepreneurs, and then that is like really wonderful. Um, but my question to you is
Yes.
like, which one is your favorite movie? I mean, whatever you have done. I mean, I know it's very difficult for a mother to say which child
Yeah,
is
it's
the
almost
favorite one.
like you said, it's almost like you have to choose between, if you have two children, you have to choose between the two of them and make a choice and say that he or she is my favorite. It's as difficult because, uh, I would say my personal attachment with each movie has been as much. So I cannot say that I was any less attached with Shajmati Rupkautar and more attached with Doduni Char. I can't say that. So each one of them absolute equals. Some of them are received better, some of them are not. But if you ask me for anecdotes and memories associated with each one of them, they're all at par and all. I really, I mean, it's not because I wanted to come up with some sort of an answer like that, but I really cannot choose. It's so see, there are some films where you face more difficulties and they stay etched in your memory forever because of what you
Mm,
had to overcome to make those movies. So I guess if you ask me that way, there have been some movies where attachment is more because we really had to struggle to make things happen, right?
right.
And your first movie always remains as a first experience because it was, just getting in this industry, no idea how things happen, and you were just playing it as it comes, and that makes it a very, very interesting experience. So the first movie therefore will always remain. Anjanda is no more, unfortunately. What a talented filmmaker. We made two films with him. There was another film that we made called Faltu, and we got a national award for that. He was a really, really very nice, good gentleman of a person. He's no more. I've lost two filmmakers, Rituda and Anjanda, both. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful.
I think the meeting is now open for discussion. Questions, if you may.
Yeah.
I hope I didn't jump the gun.
No,
No,
no.
no. It was
I
already
have
it was
I have two
open.
questions.
Yeah.
Oh, Nigad.
Also
I
good
have
to have Nirad. Yeah. Yeah. Our
Yeah,
documentary
yes.
filmmaker.
তুই রোগা হয়ে
Uh,
গেছিস?
Nigad, কেমন আছিস?
হ্যাঁ ভালো ভালো
You look good.
আচ্ছা you have made films in English, Hindi, Bengali. Do you have any intention to make in any other languages like Assamese or something?
So, South, yes, because uh, my partner right now is a gentleman called Vinay Reddy, and We are doing this movie, A Wedding Story, together, and we certainly would probably want to explore someday doing a film. South is also the flavor of the time. A lot of these Telugu, Kannada. I've always enjoyed Malayalam films a lot because I really, really love that their school of filmmaking. Fabulous films they make. Very, very story heavy, beautiful characters. I love Malayalam films. Who knows? There was, by the way, Nirad, at one.
Also,
Hmm.
also, yes, yes.
There was a pitch that had come once from a French filmmaker to produce a French movie, but it was too alien. I just could not evaluate the project really well, and therefore could not get into it. But
French.
so
Also, uh, I have and this is secondly, this is a very specific question as to with regards to this is a specific question. Why have you made Dosor in black and white?
So the decision of to make it in black and white happened at a very last moment, actually. And so you've been in the field, so you will understand. So we had done the entire pre-production as per a color film, right? And so the clothes and everything, the furniture, whatever interiors, everything was planned for a color movie. Then Ritika was struggling to figure out a way to there were 2-3 different stories that we were doing, and he wanted to use a certain umbrella to be able to cover all of them with one language. So we were generating ideas. I remember Ovik Mukhopadhyay, who was the director of photography for that movie, Ritika and I, we were sitting together in Kolkata, and we were just brainstorming, and we were trying to figure out how to bring all of these together under one umbrella. So, and then I do not remember who gave that idea at that point in time, but it just, how about doing it in black and white? And Rituta jumped, right? Also, you will see, I think every filmmaker has got an ambition to do one black and white film. It's just because of the charm of the medium. The contrast is so beautiful. But what an experience after that, Nirad. We had to change our clothes. We had to change the furniture completely because we were to now imagine that in black and white, our texture and contrast will have to stand out, right? So we changed all the furniture, we changed all the clothes because we had to now think of visuals in terms of black and white, right? Then those days, black and white, already filmmaking black and white was not in vogue, So we were not able to get stock.
So did you shoot it in color and make it then make it black and white in post production?
No, that's what I'm saying. Stock. We used black and white stock, and black and white stock was not available. So we got some 8 cans or so only to begin with, right, from Ad Labs. Mr. Krishna Shetty, he always helped us in arranging for all of these things. So he said that 8 can mein jugaad karta hu, aap shooting shuru karo. We'll try and figure. And how many places we went to the Kodak chief, we told him that you organize, we went to film festivals around the world, as in terms of we were exchanging notes, trying to figure out if they have some student film stock available, all the film schools, all of that. Finally, I think Kodak arranged for some black and white stock from the US, and that's how we used it. That's how we shot it. It was quite a struggle, actually, to all right. Somnath, he's been, enjoying this I hope you're enjoying.
Shobhnada, you would like to pitch in with some ideas with Adda?
Sorry.
Oh, how do you manage to keep that hair? That's his question.
Look, I've been asking this for many years. I'm quite jealous of the hair you have. I mean, look at everybody's hair here. Everybody is either losing hair or having black hair. But okay, I saw a little bit of silver there.
Yeah.
And when you put your head down, I saw a little bit of losing of hair. Ah, okay, you are human. It's okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So this,
it's nice to listen to all those things and interesting anecdotes and yeah. I mean, I had one question which I sent you by message, but I think it went only to you.
okay.
It's basically we keep listening this the funding of the filmmaking has moved a lot, has become more corporatized.
Yes.
There are corporate entities funding
Yes.
it, and so it always comes to our mind. I mean, we are nowhere related, but obviously, when you put in corporates, there are specialists coming in. The corporate will bring in specialists of a particular subject, and is there a higher level of interference because there are corporates? They will bring in a parallel set of experts, and they would like to say, okay, you need to go this way, you need to go that way.
Yes.
This is not going to go. So that's there, right?
So, filmmaking. So, for example, there is this one indie filmmaking, which we always, that's what I've been trying to do all these years, because the moment you get into the corporate school of filmmaking, they're driven by, while there is filmmaking and all of that, they're also driven by other, the shareholders' interests and all of that. And therefore, if you ask me, is there therefore some sort of an influence? There is, of course, influence. And which is why, if you can manage to do your films independently and then seek corporate participation in exploitation. We use the word exploitation for distribution, basically. It might sound a little, it is a wrong ring to it, but that's what it means. So when you get a corporate participation for exploitation of movies across various platform channels, this, that, and the other, various markets, it's a much better thing to do, because then the word that you used, interference, certainly goes down, because you've made your product already, right?
Yeah, already done.
Yeah. So but the struggle in trying to put a film together as an independent producer is always very, very difficult. Because one has to really try and figure and manage funds and find funds and all of that. But joy of filmmaking goes much higher. And, so, I mean, personally, I'm sure there are others also who will will feel the same. I'm here because I enjoy the process of making films. So this gives me, you make less money, but depends on what you want to do. You make less money if you're an indie producer, but you make more money if you're a corporate producer. But you have more fun if you're an indie producer. The joy of making your own product the way you want to make it is certainly there all through. It's your expression. It can go right, wrong. No one, if there was anyone who could tell which movie would work, will become the richest man on the planet. Everyone will pay to figure out which will work, which will not. So no one has any clue. Actually, no one on this planet has any clue about. So I'll tell you, very important films, some films which struggled initially to find distribution and finally became big hits, right? Because everyone thought it is not going to work. And then the audience always responds in a very curious way, which no one understands as yet, right? So dark horses become, white knights, so no one has.
Let me ask you one more question before I kind of. Okay. So let's say the movie like Lal Singh Chaddha, okay, very recent one. It's not easy to make an Indian adaptation of, Forrest Gump. It's not really. I remember when I saw Forrest Gump when I was a young man, it didn't gel well with me. I mean, that goodness of life at a young age is not something you like. You are happy with the darkness of life. But as you age up, you start understanding the beauty of that particular message. So when I went to see Lal Singh Chaddha, I had my nephews and I could see they were absolutely bored. They simply don't get moved by the goodness which was being spoken about. But the film, of course, tanked in the thing. I mean, kind of movie which is the kind of. So, do you think it was because of a wrong choice of subject, because of let's say probably a little bit of too much of you know the peculiarities which was being shown in the way he was enacting? What in your mind is the way why it missed out?
I'll tell you what, often I always believe this, that every strategy is a good strategy unless it has been tested.
Yeah.
Right. So we evaluate a strategy in retrospect mostly.
Right. Postmortem always.
Yeah. So, you know, when I'm sure the movie was planned and it was being made and all of that, everything felt right and felt correct. And there were the right kind of minds who were involved, the minds who had given big hits. Right.
Yeah.
So you can't really question in that sense. But at the same time, you know, once it did not work, then you go back and try and figure out what possibly went wrong. Right.
Yeah.
So in retrospect, a lot of things become apparent to us, which don't reveal as much when you are doing it. So I think that is what has happened with Lal Singh Chanda. So when they were making it, I'm sure they were making it with absolute intention of doing it right. And then it just did not work out, maybe for it just, let's put it this way, you know, it just did not resonate with the audience. What else?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, you know, some of your nephews and cousins and all of them, they did not quite find it exciting. So,
Yeah.
but the man made it with absolute, honest, pure intention.
Yeah, it's made. It's definitely honestly made. Nobody can complain that it was not honestly made.
Yeah. So it's just that some things just don't work, you know. Artistic expression, I guess we've seen a lot of artists die very poor because when
given that uncertainty. So when you have a script in hand, so how do you? I mean, it's a gut which tells you, you know, this is going to work.
Yeah, I think it's your own personal conviction. So there has to be someone,
more from the guts, basically.
Someone will have to be convinced, and then you are, you know, joining that one person's conviction, and then it spreads, and then you kind of, you know, people, when others join in, then it's exactly like how, let's say in politics, you know, one person gives out a call and then others find that, okay, there's conviction in that call, then others join in. And then we test it out, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So it's just purely based on, like I said, there's no objective evaluation. You can't really test. There are no parameters to test. Right.
Shubho, has there been a sorry. I'm interjecting.
No, I'm done. So, please go ahead. Please go.
Okay,
I'm done.
So
thanks.
Has there been has there been any time where you personally have liked maybe a script and said, wow, this is something wow, but when you discuss with team and they say, boss nahi chalega, something like that, and
हाँ, तो team क्या होता है? Team often gets excited because that's how you formed your team. Because, but it has happened with me. There's a film that remained incomplete because there were a lot of people who could not finally believe in the product, and therefore it remained incomplete. So it happens. I would say it's pretty regular that it happens. Yeah.
Sanjeev Sinha, 1992 batch.
Hi Sanjeev. I can't see you, but hi.
Yeah. हम लोग जब स्कूल में थे ना, तो we would think that खास करके प्लेटून में आपका पीछे टी शर्ट में जो हम लोग स्टैम्प बनाते थे, तो उसमें देख के लगता था कि perhaps you would grow up into some silver stallone type of thing. खाली यह है कि उसका हाफ लकवा है लेकिन आपका नहीं. तो हंसी और broad smile. अच्छा, ये I have a couple of questions for you. पहला तो ये कि what does it take for anyone to make you agree to make a film? जैसे मैं ये बोल रहा हूँ कि अभी हमने नेपोटिज्म का बात किया, तो लाइटर नोट हम लोग भी ट्राई कर सकते हैं नेपोटिज्म. यहाँ पे हम लोग प्राक्तनी ब्रदर्स तो हैं, तो सपोज हम में से कोई चाहता है मूवी बनाना, तो for example, suppose I want to make a movie and I have only 3 things with me. Number 1, I have certain story जो maybe 25 मिनट में बोला जा सकता है या ऐसे 1 घंटे में बोला जा सकता है, अगर पूरा स्टोरी को बोला जाए. स्क्रिप्ट नहीं है, ओनली स्टोरी है. और सेकंड है आई हैव द एबिलिटी टू रेज फंड्स फॉर दैट, जो बजट हो। और थर्ड यह है कि इट इज फॉर ए कॉज, मतलब यह है कि वी आर नॉट लुकिंग फॉर प्रॉफिट, सन कॉस्ट मेथड है, पैसे डुबा दिए, पैसे आएंगे या नहीं आएंगे वो मतलब नहीं है, पर्पस ये है कि जिस पर्पस के लिए बनाया था बना दिया। और स्वामी विवेकानंद का एक स्टेटमेंट इसके पीछे वैल्यू है, वो ये है कि वो बोलते हैं कि इफ यू हैव सर्टेन यू हैव कन्विक्शन ऑफ थॉट एंड इफ यू थिंक 5 थॉट्स एंड इन ए केव, तो वो 1000 साल बाद भी अगर इट विल फाइंड ए वे एंड वेल्ड इट वेट्स टू ए माइंड, अगर वो यूजफुल होगा फॉर द पर्सन हु विल बी एबल टू वर्क इट आउट। तो उसी इंटेंशन से अगर बनाया जाए कि एक स्टोरी है, एक आइडिया को लेके फंड हो गया, सो दैट बाद में वरी नहीं करना पड़े कि पैसे खत्म हो गए, बिका नहीं, डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन नहीं हुआ। एंड लास्ट पॉइंट ये है कि वो एक कॉज के लिए है, जो उसके लिए एंड हैंड्स ऑफ, उसके बाद वो हैंड्स ऑफ है, वो स्टोरी के थ्रू ट्रू बनाना है, बाकी कैसे उसका स्क्रिप्ट होना है वो खत्म करें। तो मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है, व्हाट डज इट टेक फॉर यू टू अग्री ऑन सच थिंग्स। और दूसरा ये है कि अगर उसको बनाना है तो हाउ डू वी चूज कि वो एनिमेशन में अच्छा रहेगा या एक्टिंग आउट, यानी कि उसका फंडिंग क्या, एनिमेशन महंगा पड़ जाएगा या फंडिंग पड़ जाएगा, हाउ डू एक्चुअली आफ्टर द स्टोरी इज देयर एंड द फंड का कमिटमेंट है कि ठीक है 10 करोड़ हो, 5 करोड़ या 50 लाख हो, आई डोंट नो कैसे, हाउ टू वर्क आउट इफ दिस टू थिंग्स आफ्टर स्टोरी, फंड का कैसे रिक्वायरमेंट पता करते हैं, और दूसरा कि ये किस फॉर्मेट में होना चाहिए।
So 3 things I would say. Number 1, the story. It's a matter of conviction. So we will, for example, if you and I were to talk, and if I get to know the story, hear the story and all of that, then depending on the level of conviction that you have about your subject, and if you can convince me in terms of how the story is, and if I can share your conviction, then the story is there, right? It does not have to pass an objective set of parameters for it to be able to qualify, right? Studios may have certain parameters to qualify कि हमें ये genre चाहिए, romance चाहिए, इस साल हमने romance नहीं किया तो romance चाहिए, या फिर इस साल हमने horror नहीं किया तो horror चाहिए. But when you are talking about indie producers, it also depends at times about their personal ambitions in terms of what kind of spaces and genres they want to do. So एक वो हो गया. Funding is absolutely objective, right? Anyone who is in the industry should be able to look at your story and sit down and work out in terms of basic mota itna kharcha ho jayega, right? And then you work ahead and go proceed. As you work, you start consolidating your things, and then you arrive at a budget, right? That's when you decide, okay, we will make this film in a certain budget. Also, the budget is often made based on your assumption of, and assumption is always tested. So it's based on precedences of what kind of films have been, what kind of budgets these sort of subjects have been made in the past. How can we kind of pitch it in that space, or do we pitch it as a new movie experience or whatever it is? So the budget will be defined accordingly. And so once these two are done, then the movie can be made, and one can even figure out. So like I said, every movie kind of makes back its own money, right? In that sense, it is pretty safe. So when you say that, nahi, hame chinta nahi hai, humne cause ke liye banaya, which is absolutely fine. But if played well, then you don't lose your investment. At least your investment comes back, right? You may or may not make a certain extra on that, but you will certainly get your investment back if one plays it carefully and rationally. Then one gets an investment back also. So कोई उसमें problem नहीं है.
और सेकंड उसी से फॉलो अप है कि जस्ट ये इंफॉर्मेशन था कि सपोज वो मूवी बन जाता है, तो फॉर एग्जांपल अगर वो सोनी पे या किसी चैनल पे रिलीज होता है, तो जैसे आपने बनाया, उसने आपके केस में मूवी को किसी ने राइट्स खरीद लिया, तो जैसे डिज्नी ले लिया, किसी ले लिया, तो इस केस में मतलब अगर फॉर एग्जांपल वो किसी टीवी चैनल पे जाना है, तो राइट्स किसके साथ रहता है, मतलब हु डिसाइड्स की, वो क्या वो खरीद लेते हैं या क्या है?
Depends. So
can I interject for a moment, please, Shubho?
Sure.
Yeah, Sanjeev, the way you put it in such conviction, मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है you have a pitch ready for him.
हाँ है। मेरा नहीं है, मैं किसी के बिना पे बैटल कर रहा हूँ, प्रॉक्सी है मेरा.
मुझे भी थोड़ा लग रहा था.
मैं उसके कॉज में कन्विक्शन हूँ, स्टोरी मेरा नहीं है. और
Okay, something you have done,
हाँ
right?
बिल्कुल 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 हाँ
Okay.
so you did it right आप
बिल्कुल।
नहीं देवाशीष दा भी बड़े बिजनेसमैन है वो he will write my
Oh,
soup
he's a very successful business. He's a very
So
big.
leave it, Shubho, continue what you were saying.
So, sorry, rights. Yeah. So rights depends on your negotiation. So you can retain your rights and sell, specific rights only, for example, and retain the IP right of your movie, or you can sell your rights. So how much you get paid for what you sell depends on what you sell, right? So कभी कभी हम पूरे राइट्स जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल आई विल गिव यू द केस ऑफ बिकॉज आपने मेंशन किया था डिज्नी का तो 2 दूनी 4 हमने डिज्नी को बेच दिया था पूरा लॉक स्टॉक एंड बैरल राइट ऑल राइट्स सो व्हेन यू सेल ऑल राइट्स यू गेट पेड बेटर व्हेन यू रिटेन राइट्स देन यू गेट पेड लेस एंड देन यू depending on the situation at that point in time you take your calls in terms of how much you want to sell what you want to sell बहुत राइट्स होते हैं मूवी का So you retain some rights, you sell some rights, or you sell everything. Depends on what you need at that point in time.
Thank you, Shubho. मैं monopolize नहीं करूँगा. There are many others.
Shubho, Krishnanu here.
Hello, Krishnanu. Where are you?
I'm in Noida.
Good to hear you.
अरे डॉक्टर साहब.
अरे Shubho, just want to know one thing.
Yes.
कभी हम लोगों को मौका मिलेगा आपके सेट में आने का और आपको देखने का?
तो बिल्कुल. अरे इसमें क्या है? तो whenever we are shooting, just if you stay connected, I'll tell you where we are shooting. आ जाओ. मतलब अच्छी खातिरदारी होगी.
नहीं बिल्कुल ये तो एक बहुत. I have not met you since school days.
Oh, so.
कितने साल हो गया?
So. So
I was wondering when Krishnanu will pitch in. तब से देख रहा हूँ उसको और I was about to,
जब बोल रहे हैं बढ़िया खातिरदारी होगी तो हो सकता है कि एक्स्ट्रा की तरह पीछे फोटो शूट में आ भी जाए.
ये भी एक चांस है. नहीं it is so nice. It was such a nice interaction, Shubho. It was a great opportunity for me to catch you up. और बहुत मजा आया.
मुझे भी बहुत अच्छा लगा यार. It's really nice.
By the way, Krishnanu also comes from a place. Shubho and me come from Silchar actually, Assam.
Yes.
Krishnanu comes from Karimganj, just a neighboring छोटा सा जगह है दोनों हम लोग.
Very close to that place. I used to always travel by Silchar batch.
Yeah, Silchar batch. हम लोग that time. You remember छोटा सा plane होता था Fokker Friendship.
Absolutely.
करके घूमता था. So it's long travel together. Half of the plane, or at least if not half, 30% would be us only.
Fokker Friendship. I remember this. Very small plane those days.
Shubho, we missed you during our centenary celebration. हम प्रेमानंद धाम में उसी बेड पे गए थे जहाँ पे हम लोग बैठ कर स्टडी करते थे.
Oh, how nice!
Corner वाला. आप और दीपक सत्यार्थी था.
I really missed it.
Yeah.
Shubho reached at the last hour. He was supposed to come.
चलो कोई नहीं. There is always a next time.
At least भाई आशीष पांडे, प्रभात रंजन चेहरा दिखाना ना प्लीज.
चलो चेहरा दिखा देते हैं. दादा नमस्कार.
नमस्कार.
Dada, I'm seeing you after so long, and you changed even a bit. I mean, you look the same. I mean, see, you got, have wide beard and all. Look at yourself. Good to see you, Dada.
Good to see you too.
Also, Dada, one thing, Dada, I've just come back I was in Patna for 4 or 5 days. Just right now, yesterday, I've come back. I was there with a director, and we had a screen workshop. And two of the stories are ready in terms of their screenplay, which I was reading out to them, and they've suggested some changes to it, which I've started kind of doing it. And then they have asked me to write the third screenplay and dialogue for them. The story is there, but I've started writing the screenplay and dialogue for their third film. Do you think we can the idea which was proposed from the कि भाई प्रकृति है सारे के सारे नेपोटिज्म करेंगे तो वो कर सकते हैं क्या?
Sorry, last bit ना सुनाई नहीं दे रहा था, कुछ आवाज आ रहा है.
Hang on. Let me. It is raining here, and I'm at a bad place. I'm out with the umbrella. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Oh.
Yes. So, I told you I was on a and with on 2 scripts, which is written story, screenplay, and dialogue all 3 are mine. And the third story is there. Started writing their screenplay and dialogue. So, do you think we can do nepotism?
Why not? Let's get in touch. You never know.
Shubho, that's the second time you are getting in this Adda, huh? Remember one thing, it's not only the story that makes the movie, it also requires the fun. दोनों एक साथ ले आना.
फंड मेरे बैच के पास कमी नहीं है. अगर मेरा बैच चल रहा है तो आधा इंडिया खरीद सकता है.
You will have to search for that. Look around. मिल जाएगा.
हाँ. 90 बैच के पास बहुत फंड है. So we'll talk on this on the script once we are done with this account.
Absolutely.
यहाँ सिलेटी बहुत है. सिलेटी में कुछ बोल सकते हैं.
हाँ.
दादा नंबर वाला बहुत है.
Yeah. আমি আর দেবাশিস তো কোনো সময় ইয়েতে মাতি না. মানে we only speak in Sylheti. So
प्रभात कैसे हो? बहुत दिन बाद. How are you, प्रभात? कहाँ गायब ही हो गया? नहीं.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
ये देखो.
Yeah, I'm not very well connected right now. Just saw this thing link and फिर दिल हुआ के connect करते हैं. So are you able to clearly hear me, ना?
Yes.
हाँ, काफी लेट से ज्वाइन किया मैंने और lately I have not been connected with RKM and all that. So I'll try to catch up on things. और बहुत अच्छा लगा और whatever time we connected, बहुत दिनों बाद देखने का मौका मिला तुम लोगों को और बहुत अच्छा है. I'll try to be regular on this. बाकी सब अच्छा है. Shubho is doing very good. और
कहाँ रहते हो आजकल?
I am presently in Patna.
रॉडगी से मिलना होता है.
किससे?
आशीष रॉडगी.
हाँ, आशीष से मुलाकात होती है. लेटली अभी नहीं मिल पाया हूँ, बट मुलाकात होती है.
Okay. Keep in touch.
Yeah, sure.
All right, guys. I think.
Yes. When मेरे पास ये आया था, so I was given the mandate कि ये 45 मिनट 1 घंटा चलेगा, and the last 15 minutes will be open for questions. Something that sort of a mandate I was given. So I believe, look, we are past that time.
Oh,
so
okay. All right.
It's now more than that. So if anybody has a last question, we can take that, and after that probably we'll wind up, say bye and meet offline.
I had one question. I sent it in chat also. So regarding this OTT thing, so vernacular movies, they have got much traction over OTT platforms, and as a result, a lot of movies that from South, say Malayalam industry, and even from Assam, they are getting popular amongst the masses, which were previously dominated by multiplexes, and Bollywood movies would mostly get prominent place in media, in popular media. So from a filmmaker point of view, and especially somebody who has worked in vernacular languages, how isn't the OTT platform an enabler in going forward for especially?
Absolutely. वो तो मैंने बोला ही. So OTT platforms have certainly increased your avenues for movies in a big way, actually. Also, vernacular पहले रीजनल लैंग्वेज मूवीज में क्या होता था, बिकॉज ऑफ द फैक्ट दैट इट्स अ रीजनल लैंग्वेज ना, तो इट वुड रिमेन रेस्ट्रिक्टेड इन टर्म्स ऑफ, बिकॉज थिएट्रिकल रिलीज में ना देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ एक्सपेंडिचर दैट इज इन्वॉल्व्ड, right? It's not like that one takes a movie to the theater and releases it. There's a lot of expenditure involved in that. So the return on investment in trying to release a regional movie elsewhere was very difficult. The returns, the ROI was very almost negligible or negative, which is why they would never find people interested to release regional movies in theaters earlier, except for that particular region. With OTT, that has opened up. Also, what has happened, viewing habits have changed. People now are willing to watch movies with subtitles, जो पहले इतना prevalent नहीं था. So that has, it certainly is a big enabler. Therefore, movies from South, are being sampled by people from other parts of the country. People from Far East, movies from Far East are also getting sampled. People sitting in Gujarat. So that certainly has opened up avenues for filmmakers. So one can actually make a small film and be very sure that it will find a platform to reach out to the audience. That certainly has changed in a big way.
And one more thing. So if when you are shooting a movie, so do you shoot it differently if you have a theoretical, if you want to release it in theaters or vis-a-vis on OTT? So
you can plan it differently, of course, because if it's a big screen experience, then then you shoot it accordingly. You know, if it's to be watched in a smaller screen, you know, also kya hota hai, kabhi there are certain stories which can lend itself to a small screen experience. Also, there are certain stories which do not lend it themselves well to a small screen experience. They need a big screen experience. ऐसा नहीं है कि हम नहीं देख सकते हैं, वो तो मोबाइल फोन पे भी कोई भी पिक्चर देख सकते हैं. इंटरस्टेलर भी मोबाइल फोन पे देख सकते हैं, but Interstellar is actually a big screen experience. But your question, yes, when we shoot, we have that in mind, that what are you shooting for? If you're shooting for a big screen experience, then there are certain shots, there are certain ways that you shoot them. Having said that, any film can be shown on OTT platform or a big screen also, but to enhance the experience, you can shoot them differently. Yes.
So the costs differ. How much is the cost difference? Like for a OTT movie and for a purely OTT movie and a
it's not like that. So obviously, big screen experience if you are planning a big screen experience, then you expect costs to be a little higher, but at the same time, there are other factors also which are involved, right? So costs are not just about how you shoot them. The costs are also got a lot to do with the kind of story that you are telling, the kind of actors that they are involved, right? So there are multiple factors which kind of decide the cost of a movie, and what you mentioned is one of them. Yeah.
Hello, Shubho. Aditya here.
Hello. Hi.
So nice to see all of you, Shubho, Swamida, Prashant, Niradha. Wow. It's like almost recreation of Premananda Dham in 1983-84.
Yeah.
तो में मिला शुभोदा कोने का बेड, उसके सामने दीपक सत्यार्थी, बगल में मैं. पहली बार मच्छरदानी कैसे लगाना है. और शुभोदा ने मेरे को बोला उड़ी बाबा गिलगू. Remember that this was your very favorite term. Ashish, Sid, Sanjeev, Krishnanu, Devada. So राकेश भी है, अक्षय, अभिषेक and सम्राट दा. होम पैक्ट क्यों, क्या हो रहा है होम में, कौन पैक कर रहा है?
How nice you remember. Yeah.
So nice to see all of you and बहुत अच्छा लगा मेरे लिए. कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं. I'm just so happy and elated to see all of you. तो मैं न्यूयॉर्क में हूँ, आप कभी भी आए, I'm sure आप फिल्म के चक्कर में जरूर आते होंगे यहाँ कभी ना कभी. Let's sit together, have a drink together.
Absolutely.
All of you, invitation सबके लिए open.
Lovely.
World Cup, we'll be there together.
Yes. We'll come together.
Of course.
Football World Cup. We Shubho for sure will be in US.
Yes.
चुटकी माच का इंतजाम मैं करता हूँ फिर.
एकदम.
So nice seeing all of you.
How lovely. You exactly remember the positions then. How nice.
Ramakrishna Nagda.
Yes. तो शेर तेल किभाবে লাগাতে হয়? So नाभि में पहले लगाओ, फिर
सही
नाखून
बात है.
लगाओ.
और चिट्ठी लिखना. I hope you are good. अभी और क्या
नहीं,
पोस्ट कार्ड में चिट्ठी लिखना.
सबसे बड़ी बात था बिशी करो तेल में के छोट्टो करे चान.
छोटू करे चान.
So nice, man. This looks like yesterday.
Yeah. So guys, thank you so much. So nice to see you. So nice to see
It
you.
was really a pleasure, Shubhoda. Yeah, really pleasure.
Was-
We'll catch up. Shubhoda, you'll share your number, huh?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. We'll catch up very soon.
Very soon, very soon. Bye. Take care, Shubhoda.
Bye, 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 bye.
So it was wonderful having you all, and wonderful for those Prashant, Abhishek to arrange this thing. So we had a wonderful evening today. So we wind up kare. It's almost like 2 hours.
Yes, yes. So I think we started with around 13 people. Now still we have 2 hours down the line. We still have more than I think 16 people. So it has been a very wonderful session. And thank you, Subodha and Devashish, for
Thank you
this
guys.
wonderful
Thank you so
arranging
much,
it.
मजा आ गया. मजा आ गया. सबको देख के मजा आ गया. Actually, it was really
Thank you.
wonderful. Really
So,
wonderful.
Krishna
we
no
have-
Happy Picture.
Hmm?
It has Krishna no.
हाँ.
Ah,